renewable energy, everybody knows what it is, but the distributed part mean we produce energy in the area where we use it, because generally energy is produced in a power plant and then distributed across the country. But when we talk about DRA, we mean that we produce it in the areas where people need it and people use it there. So it goes with mini grids, off grids, when you have solar home systems, when you install a solar panel in a specific company, they produce their own energy and they use it.
So that means coordinating countries on the continents. How many countries are you working with now?
We're working with all countries, but with a specific focus on Nigeria, where we are creating a fund that is dedicated to Nigeria. So it's a 500 million fund, which we call Nigeria DRE Fund. So that fund will be investing in the DRE companies in Nigeria only.
So a lot of times when Nigerians hear of this big amount of money or hear about renewable or rural electrification, it ends with the big numbers. How are you really working to ensure that this 500 million actually does what you hope it to do?
That's a great question. Actually, the way we're doing it, we want to make a productive use of the energy. So we're working with companies mainly. Even if we're talking about rural electrification, primarily our goal is to finance companies that are producing energy to these rural areas. So we already have a very strong pipeline. We have about $3 billion in terms of pipeline, companies looking for investments. And these companies are specifically looking for equity investments because there is debt on the market. But what these companies need the most is equity. So we have these companies we are already talking to, and there are plenty of them that need equity.
So these companies you're talking about, what exactly do they do? There's the controversy of importing panels or not, if that's solar panels in Nigeria. And other components, the battery. We have lithium as a raw material in the country, but who's going to turn it to, what we really need and all. So which of the companies are you talking to? What stage of manufacturing are you dealing with them?
That's a really great question. Thank you. So we're talking to all aspects of the value chain. So we're talking to companies that are selling solar panels. So most of them are importing them right now. That's the situation. But we believe we should create and develop the market for manufacturing as well, because Nigeria today worth billions of dollars in terms of market value when it comes to solar panels. So we're also talking to companies that are doing either assembling of solar panels or manufacturing of solar panels. We're talking to them in order to invest and support their growth. But let's be very transparent on this. You cannot create an industry from one day to the next. You need to go through phases. You need to go through the learning curve. You need to have a few mistakes, a few failures. That's what life is. So we believe that starting with the assembling part is probably the most prudent approach. So that's where we'll invest heavily. And then these companies that are doing assembling of solar panels will develop progressively in getting more into the manufacturing aspect when they can start manufacturing themselves these solar panels, and will support their growth.
So what's the timeline that you have? I mean, you just said it now that industries cannot be built overnight. Everybody knows that. So what's the timeline? When did you start? What do you hope to get maybe in 5 years? What do you hope to see? How developed do you think that the value chain can be in the next couple of years?
Yes. So we started a few months ago. We launched the fund during an event in Barbados in March with our partners. I didn't even mention the partners, but it's a great opportunity to talk about it. We are partnering with the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority on this, but also with Sustainable Energy for All, and then an international partner called International Solar Alliance, ISA. So these are the three partners that we have in working on this fund. So the fund was launched in March of this year in Barbados, and we need to be very clever about the approach. There are urgent needs for energy, so for that we need to invest now to provide electricity to people, SMEs, companies that need it. But at the same time, it's a long-term gain, especially in the value chain when we're talking about a manufacturing aspect. So the fund will have to invest over a very long term so that we can follow the growth of this company and support them during many, many years. So we plan that the fund has a 20-year lifespan, and that's the type of investment we will be doing. We will not come to invest and try to exist after 4 or 5 years. That is not the goal. I think to develop an industry, you need really to be playing a long-term game. So we're playing a 20-year term game here to make sure that we are supporting the industry, the whole industry, over a long period.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said over a long period, because there's the question of sustainability now. Even though you're playing a long game, you want to have a strategy that will keep you in the game for that long so that you don't fall off in between. What's that strategy? You're talking about funding now. I mean, you can't just take money and just dump it. It has to be working, and so what's the plan in that area, sustainability?
Thank you. Yes, the plan is, we know the first goal here is to provide access to energy, so there is impact. But to make it sustainable, we at Africa 50, we believe that it has to be financially sustainable so that it can run over a very long period. So, but at the same time, the investors that we are talking to are afraid of the DRE sector. They believe it is very risky, it is not profitable enough, etc. These are perceptions, because we, Africa 50, we've been investing on the market for about 10 years now, and we believe the market is highly profitable and less risky than what people used to say. So what we're doing is, first, in the fund, we'll have commercial investors, but we are also talking to impact investors so that they can provide concessional capital to catalyze the fund, just to launch it so that we can prove to the market what type of return we can get on this DRE sector. And then once we prove that, we believe we'll have more commercial investor in the future.
So you're working with the private sector now. You said some companies, some solar assembling companies.
Absolutely.
What about the government? Because in Nigeria, there are so many policies to deal with everything, So what about the government? Are you working along with the government? Because most likely you need authorization from one arm of the government or the other.
Absolutely. So just one point, Africa 50 is owned by African government. So just to remind that, including the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So we have a very close relationship with all our shareholders, including Nigerian government, and our approach is that we are here to support the country. So we work under the policies of the country. We're not here to change the policy or to tell the government how to do a policy, etc. But in areas where we believe that our investments can make more impact by doing a specific transaction or drafting a specific relationship with the government, then we get into this type of conversation. So right now, the government is very supportive of our DRE initiative, and as of now, we believe that the policies that are in place actually do not prevent us from moving forward and developing the sector. What we mostly need is investors willing to take the risk. And not only international investors, but we also believe that local investors are actually key. So out of the $500 million, we're planning to raise $100 million from Nigerian investors, local pension funds, who provide funding in Naira, actually, because the companies in which we'll be investing also need some local currency. It's not just about US dollar. So attracting these local pension funds is key as well. And government of Nigeria is extremely supportive on that front.